And we're back. Welcome to the Auto Authorities podcast. My name is Jay Grossman. I am the founder and CEO of iAutoAgent.com. We are real estate agents for cars. We help you sell your vehicle. We market, we list, we show your vehicle at no cost to you, keeping you from having to meet with strange people at strange places. And we also will help you buy a car nationwide, handle all the heavy lifting, and handle everything from A to Z. But I am so pleased today. We have one of the top insurance advisors in the country, and we just have something so unique to talk about. And it's about these new safety features, how they can positively and negatively affect your insurance premiums. And this is Kirk Fauble with Fauble Insurance Advisors. And are you ready to do this, Mr. Kirk?
I am indeed, Jay. Thanks for having me.
Let's do it. Have you ever felt like you were taken for a ride when buying, selling, or repairing your car? Well, not anymore. I'm Jay.
And I'm Dave.
And this is the podcast that tells you what to watch out for, whether you're buying, selling,
or repairing your car.
With 47 years of automotive experience, we are the Automotive Authorities. This podcast is sponsored by iAutoAgent. We're real estate agents for cars.
And Quality Auto STL. Trusted services with no surprises.
Boom! Booyah! So, hey, welcome back to the Auto Authorities podcast. Again, my name is Jay Grossman. I'm the founder and CEO of iAutoAgent. We have one of the top insurance advisors in the country, and we have some very, very interesting information that will probably surprise you. And we're going to meet Kirk here in a second. But before we begin, I would like to thank our sponsors, Podcastify.me. They are absolutely amazing. They make this beautiful podcast happen every week and make it pretty for you. And all I have to do is show up. And if you are wanting to watch this recorded, you can actually watch it on YouTube. All you have to do is click the subscribe button, subscribe to the Auto Authorities. And on Facebook is really becoming a community for all of us to talk about anything car related. It's called the Auto Authorities Podcast. It's a Facebook group. All you do is click join group and we'll let you in and you can ask anything automotive related. We also want to hear all the comments that you have when you're watching the Auto Authorities Podcast. And if you want to just listen to us on a beautiful drive to work, you can go to iTunes or Pandora or any of the different podcast platforms, and you can download the Auto Authorities podcast. And if you have any questions or any comments, you can go to theautoauthorities.com. That's theautoauthorities.com. And I, without further ado, I would like to welcome Kirk Fauble with Fauble Insurance Advisors. Kirk, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Jay. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm really excited to have you. Kirk has been an incredible fan of the Auto Authorities podcast for, I think, since day one. He always makes comments, and he contacted me about these safety features. And I just think that everybody needs to know this. But let's learn a little bit about Kirk. Kirk, tell us a little bit about your background.
Thanks again for having me, Jay. Most of my career was actually spent in corporate management. So was a corporate trainer in regional management, general manager. So a lot of training and development of people, and just I was in the retail world, and about 5-6 years ago got tired of working in the retail space, and tired of working all these holiday weekends, and wanted some more flexibility to spend with my family. And I'm very analytical, very numbers make sense to me. Went to school as a math major and an education major, so love numbers, love math. So insurance was a great fit for me. I've been doing a little over 5 years. And the thing I love most about my job is meeting the people, learning about their lifestyle, finding the right coverages for them, and really educating people on what all these very technical and very legal terms mean and how those coverages may or may not benefit them. So I have a lot of fun with my clients doing that.
Well, that's great. And I have personally known Kirk for a while now. And having that analytical background, it's so important because I think about what we do and we look at people's situations, and we can look at, like, when we're helping someone buy a vehicle, let's say it's a used vehicle, we can look at history reports and see things that could be potentially red flags, that could be 20, 30, $40,000 mistakes. And that's what you do too, is you can see things in people's policies that say, hey, you may want to think about this again before you continue with this policy, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And Kirk also has a free gift for everybody who sticks around to the end today. So I really want to get into this, Kirk, because you contacted me and you had said, "Hey, listen, I got something I want to talk about," and I listened because I want to make sure it's a value for people to hear. And let's talk about the new safety features. I mean, there's incredible amounts of them. And you had said some of them negatively and positively and negatively affect insurance rates. I want to hear about that.
Sure. And there's never been a time that cars have been safer than the new ones currently are. There's some amazing technology, and we've all seen accidents on the side of the road where you see this mangled pile of metal and you wonder, did someone get hurt? And you find out about it. In many cases, people walk away from these pretty bad looking accidents with maybe a couple bumps and bruises or completely walk away unscathed. And the amount of design and technology that goes into brand new vehicles to keep people safe is absolutely astounding. There's some amazing technology. So I had a friend who got in an accident yesterday, was rear-ended by someone on the way out of town, and he showed pictures of the back of his van and the front of this other vehicle. The back of the van didn't have much damage. However, the front of the vehicle that hit him had quite a bit of damage. And one of the things I mentioned to him is the design of new vehicles. There's actually crumple zones built into the front of the car, and within reason, that vehicle is actually designed to keep the passenger safe, and the vehicle actually absorbs the brunt of the accident rather than the person.
Wow, that's unbelievable. So let's talk about, I want to talk about specifics as far as safety features. Like the first one, the top of your head. Let's talk about the positive first, because I always like starting with the positive. And then let's leave the negative that would negatively impacts insurance. So what is let's start with one thing that, like, if you have this positively, that it's going to affect your insurance.
A lot of the new technology comes in a bundle. So you have a camera that's built in most cases in the back of your rear view mirror. And that camera does a whole bunch of things. Number one, it gives you a camera to see some things in front of you, but that is actually works with your cruise control. So you might have a laser guided cruise control where if traffic slows down in front of you and you're not necessarily paying attention, it's actually going to automatically adjust your cruise control speed without you even turning the cruise control off, so you maintain that proper distance. So it does that. It also has what's called a cross traffic alert. So if it sees a person coming across or another vehicle, if you're at an intersection coming into the front view of the vehicle, it's going to actually alert you and start beeping at you and showing you some bright lights up in your screen to where that vehicle or that person is coming from. And one of the coolest things is it'll actually, if it sees something in front of you or behind you with the rear view camera, if you're getting too close, not only will it beep at you, it'll actually activate your brakes for you.
It's interesting you say this because I just got another car. I just get cars like every 6 months or so. I buy them and then we sell them through the company. It's kind of a perk of having your own company that's car related. But man, I'll tell you, I was like actually sitting at the intersection yesterday, and I'm thinking, how do I turn this darn thing off? Because it was actually beeping at me when somebody was just like you said, it was someone was coming through the intersection and it starts beeping at me. And I'm like, there's nothing. I'm at a stoplight and it was pretty far away. I'm just, I was like, I told my wife, I'm like, is there any way to adjust this? Because that was kind of annoying, frankly. But also on the flip side, the I don't know what happened, but I was driving and somebody had suddenly stopped, and my car actually hit the brakes for me, and it's like brake. It started saying brake, 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 and then it hit the brakes for me, and I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool, though. That is really, really cool.
Yeah, I actually had a situation in one of our vehicles that has that, and my office is on Manchester Road, and they're doing a lot of construction, and there was a steel plate in the road that was really elevated, and that sensor picked it up and actually slammed on the brakes, and I was the only one around. So, like you said, there's probably some flaws, and it's still a relatively new technology, so they can continue to pick up some things here and there that maybe aren't in reality. Also, in Northern Illinois, driving through the Chicago area, they put the reflectors in the road. And on our Odyssey, the at nighttime, it was really playing with the lane departure sensors because it was picking up the lines, but also those reflectors and the angle of the lighting. It kept telling me that I was going out of my lane, even though I wasn't. So there's definitely some bugs that will continue to get worked out and get better as the technology improves.
So let me ask you a question. So
Mhm.
as we talk about these safety features, let's just talk about the bundle that, the camera, the lane departure, the, beeping when you back up or whatever. How does that impact your insurance premiums? And what if you don't have that? Will you pay more insurance?
So there's some discounts tied into those having those features. As an example, we went from a 2018 to a 2021 Forerunner, and the 2018 didn't have those safety features, and the 2021 did. Our auto insurance actually went down a little bit, even though the new vehicle was a little bit more expensive. And claims actually show that people with newer vehicles actually file more claims than people with an older vehicle. So our insurance actually went down though because of that.
Wow. Wow. That's amazing. What other things can you think of that will positively affect your insurance premiums?
So if we can prevent accidents from happening in the first place, it may not affect you today. You may not get a bigger discount because of it just today. However, the fewer accidents that happen and the safer we become, that's going to affect the long-term premium because your premium, the way insurance premium works is you're grouped with a bunch of other people that have similar driving habits, similar areas, similar type of vehicles, similar age group, similar credit scores, and you're lumped in with those. So if that whole group of people reduces the amount of accidents, therefore the amount of payments that are being paid out by the carrier, that's going to keep our rates in check.
Wow, that's a pretty I never really thought about that. Someone should come up with like some type of a business where you have a forum and it's like, hey, are you 50 years old and white Caucasian male that lives in, blah blah blah? It's like, yes, I am. Well, why don't you join my group? And we'll all go together and get insurance. And we'll lower our insurance rates. Yeah, I never really thought about that. Man, that's so tell us what you see on your end as far as like the things that frustrate you with some of the people that are in policies and like you wish you could say this to them and they would listen type of thing.
Sure. In Missouri has a couple of really unique issues, and we have fairly high insurance rates for the Midwest. So I'm licensed in Wisconsin, Illinois, and Missouri, and in Kansas, and we have pretty much the highest rates of those states for our auto insurance. And a couple of things that lead or that directly contribute to that. Missouri has no requirement whatsoever for driver's education. So basically, parents can teach kids how to drive, and if they're a bad driver, they're teaching their kids bad driving habits. Illinois and Wisconsin both require a professional driver's ed program, and there were things I learned because I lived in the Illinois side when my kids started driving. There were things I was teaching them in driving and asking why they were doing certain things. For instance, I was taught 10-2 on the steering wheel, right? And my son had him 9-3. I'm like, well, no, 10-2. And he's like, no, my teacher told me not to. Well, why would your teacher tell you that? Well, because if the airbag deploys and your hands are up here, that airbag is going to hit your hands and push them right into your face and could potentially do some serious medical damage to you. So by 9-3, your arms are actually outside of the deployment of the airbags. It might push them away, but it's not going to hit you. And again, the more we can do to reduce injuries, reduce accidents, it helps with your long-term insurance costs.
Wow. Wow. That is, I have heard that is that we obviously, yeah, we were taught 10-2 and now I'm hearing 9-3. And, it's just such a different world when we started driving. Definitely. So if you guys are just joining us, we are here with Kirk Fauble with Fauble Insurance Advisors. He's one of the top insurance agents here in the country. And he had come to me and we were talking about positive and negative impacts of having safety features for your insurance premiums. We're learning a lot of really amazing things. And we've been talking about the positive. We're going to get into the negatives. But just what I'd love everybody to do is you're listening to this, leave comments below. Let us know the questions you have. Maybe you have comments. We'll get them to Kirk. Maybe I can answer some. But ultimately, we want to hear your feedback. Go to the autoauthorities.com and leave us a note. Or if you're on the Auto Authorities Podcast Facebook group page, leave us some comments. We appreciate that. And Bobby, if you are listening right now, you need to be listening to Kirk because you make very bad decisions. So, Kirk, let's talk about the negative impacts because I don't know, how do safety features negatively impact your insurance? That's really confusing to me.
So great question. And when I talked about negativity, to me, there is no negative per se directly that's causing you to have more accidents directly, or that's going to make your rate go up. When I'm talking about negativity is all these things cost more, right? So all these additional features, and I know on your show, you've talked about the chip shortage. A lot of these safety features need chips and sensors and adapters and electronics to make them work. So the vehicles are just far more expensive. So I have a 2022 Toyota RAV4 hybrid, and I have two cameras in the back. I've got the traditional backup camera, and then a second one for some of the other lane departure things. I've got a front camera in my dashboard, or in my grill, I'm sorry, that does a 360 scan, and that's it can show me how close I am to a vehicle in front of me if I'm parallel parking, for instance. And that camera also helps with some of the automatic braking and things along those lines. And then my entire bumper is lined with sensors in the front and back. And those are those sensors that send out signals to see how close you are to other vehicles, sense if people are walking in front of you, sensing if you're getting too close to vehicles in front of you. So let's take a very common accident, just a rear end collision. So if you just bump somebody 10, 15 years ago, as long as you didn't damage anything underneath, you just got a new bumper cover, which is made out of plastic, and all of the cost was in the labor and the paint, right? Now you rear end someone at 15 miles an hour. Now they need to go in and take a look at all those sensors. Do those sensors need to be replaced? How much are those sensors? Recalibrating every one of those sensors to make sure they're talking to your system. So something that might have cost $500, $600, $700, maybe $1,000 10, 15 years ago is now easily sometimes a $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 repair, even for a minor accident. So again, the fact that insurance is based on the total dollars that the insurance company pays out, you now have a more expensive accident if you get into an accident. Another great example, my son has a 2021 Honda Pilot. Honda in a lot of their vehicles uses what's called acoustic glass in the front window, keeps your vehicle more quiet, helps the music sound a little bit better. Got hit by a rock in the wintertime. He lives up in Wisconsin. As we all know, you got the heat blasting, cold air outside, and that crack just starts to go all across the windshield. So he needed a new windshield. Older car might cost you $300 to get a new windshield installed. His Honda Pilot because again, he has all those safety sensors that needed to be recalibrated. I saw the bill from his insurance policy. It was $1,465 to replace a windshield in a vehicle. So that's where some of the negativity comes in, is even minor things cost a lot more to fix. And we haven't even talked about inflation and labor and all that good stuff.
Well, it's interesting you say that, because so my son actually was hit from behind by a uninsured motorist 2 days ago.
Oh, sorry.
And this was in the iAuto agent car, of course. Um, I'm guessing there's probably about $8,000 worth of damage, because this is actually a pretty basic car. It didn't have sensors and stuff. It had a camera in the back. But when the lady hit her brakes, I think she went more underneath. So it actually was good. And it really did absorb the impact. And if you looked at her car was an '07 GMC Envoy. And this thing was just I'm really beat up. And I'm so pissed at this whole thing. This lady's driving around with no insurance, and don't even get me started. But um, so what you're saying is so true. And the other thing too, and you've seen this on our show, we've talked about Teslas. At Teslas, you have to get Tesla, like everything Tesla from Tesla. And so I'm thinking, well, the iAuto agent car got hit. Thank God my son was okay. But I just drove it over to the body shop because I know it's going to need to be fixed, and the insurance advisor is going to be coming out to look at it. And I'm thinking, okay, well, I know that there's a wait. Now, keep in mind, we're here in September. December 2nd is the soonest they can get us in. And you know what? What if you had a vehicle that wasn't, you couldn't even drive? You would be screwed. Like, what do you do in that situation when you're working with your clients on that? I know I'm getting a little off topic, but I'm just curious. It's like, what if your client needs a car and they're like, they can't even drive their car?
And those are things that are definitely contributing to increases in auto insurance premiums. Number one, people are all maxing out their rental car coverage.
Mhm.
Rental cars are far more expensive nowadays than others. But strategically, first and foremost, because most carriers limit rental car coverage to 30 days, especially in a situation like this where there is no liability insurance. So you are going to be limited to what your carrier covers. So strategically using that rental car coverage. So if you're not going to need the car for a couple weeks, don't go out and rush and get a rental car today. We're also seeing situations too where we're finding carriers are having to total out cars because parts are not going to be available for 7, 8, 9 months. And a carrier can only look at their customer for a certain period of time for a non-drivable car and say, hey, you're just going to have to wait. So you're finding carriers that are totaling out cars that never would be totaled out before. And then they go and sell those cars at auction and they lose, they make some money on auction, but they don't get 100% value when they sell those vehicles to the auto auction. So again, all of us insurance purchasers, it costs all of us.
Wow. That is a powerful statement. I hope everybody's listening to that, because what I'm seeing is we always talk about the ripple effect, and that's going to increase your premiums. The more money that these insurance companies have to pay out, that means that there's going to be more like your payments or your premiums go up. Yeah. Wow. What else? Like, is there anything that in your mind that if you could give one piece of amazing advice to whoever is listening right now, what would it be?
So we have all these great safety features available, and many of my carriers actually offer telematics programs as well. So it's an app on your phone that measures some of your driving habits, trying to make you a safer and better driver. But if you're going to be a careless driver and not pay attention to the road, excessively speed, drive erratically, none of these safety features are going to help if we don't do our part as drivers on the road. So all of that safety stuff, self-driving, all that good stuff is really only as good as the operator that's out there. So pay attention. The biggest issue we have in Missouri is speed. People driving so fast. We talked about the ability for a car to absorb the impact and keep you safe. Once you exceed 80 miles an hour, studies show that those safety features and your car's cage that they put you in per se are not nearly effective once you exceed 80 miles an hour. If you're weaving in and out of traffic and everything along those lines and causing accidents at high speeds, people are still going to get hurt, which is a huge part of your insurance cost. And again, as you mentioned, a minor accident, getting rear-ended, you're in at least $8,000 to $10,000 even for a minor accident today.
That's what I figured when I looked at that car. I'm like, so I talked to the person at the body shop yesterday, just drove it over there, and I'm figuring, and then also our car is also wrapped too with iAuto Agent everything. And so now you're going to have to replace that wrap, which is probably at least a couple thousand just to do the tailgate and the bumper. And then it all has to match. It's a mess. And so the moral of the story, everybody, Bobby, you need to drive carefully. I would love to hear your story. Do you have a horror story with insurance? Leave the comments below and let us know. But Kirk has a free gift for everybody that's listening. I'm curious, what is the free gift, Kirk?
Well, Jay, what I'd love to do for anyone listening is offer a free insurance consultation, not only for their auto, but their home as well. What I find in a lot of cases is people are buying insurance online and maybe not getting any advice whatsoever and just keeping coverages that they had 5 or 10 years ago. So I'd love to do a no obligation free consultation with you, review your coverages, and take a look to make sure you're in the right spot coverage wise and also price wise with my mini carriers. $50,000 or even $100,000 of auto liability in today's world. You've got tons of Suburbans, the big Fords, Teslas, well over $100,000, and used cars, as we know, have gone up the last couple of years. So if you total someone's brand new Lamborghini that they got, and you have $100,000 of liability limits, guess who's paying for that? You are, and I want to make sure that's not happening to you.
Well, thank you so much. This has really been enlightening for me. And, being in the industry for going on 26 years myself, there's always room for us to learn. And I learned a lot today, and I hope that everybody else did. Kirk, please let everybody know how to get in touch with you.
Easiest way to get in touch with me is one of two ways. Just my cell phone, which is 618-363-5272. And again, I cover the Missouri, Illinois, and Wisconsin areas. I'm based in Warson Woods. Or my email address, which is just Kirk, and then at FaubelInsurance.com. So FAUBEL insurance.com. Those are the easiest two ways to get a hold of me and be in touch.
Sounds like personalized service. I can't believe you just gave out your cell phone. This is a nationwide podcast. Oh, no calling Kurt at 3 a.m. with your drunk calls. Okay. It's not going to work. Okay. Well, Kirk, I really appreciate you coming today. Again, everybody, subscribe to the Auto Authorities Podcast Facebook group. Leave your comments. We want to hear about you. And we're going to come to you next week with another great episode. Everybody have an amazing rest of your week, and peace.